Welcome back to another Explainer, Focused Learners. Today, we are going to completely, and I mean entirely, shatter a parenting belief that has been passed down for absolute generations. You know exactly what I'm talking about if you've ever been out at the grocery store and felt just a little bit self-conscious talking to your baby in that high-pitched, goofy voice, or if well-meaning relatives have ever tapped you on the shoulder and told you to just speak to your infant like a normal adult so they don't fall behind. Well, you are going to want to pay very, very close attention to the science we are unpacking today. We're looking at some breaking science that turns everything we thought we knew completely upside down.
Think about it for a second. What if the way you've been told to properly talk to your baby is actively working against their developing brain? I want to plant a seed of curiosity here. Because what if that silly, high-pitched, sing-songy voice you use when you think absolutely nobody is watching, what if that is actually the single most powerful language development tool known to modern neuroscience? We're going to explore exactly why your baby's brain is literally desperately waiting for you to use that specific voice. But to truly grasp this, first we have to look back at how we got this so wrong for so long.
Section 1, the Great Baby Talk Myth. Let's look at what we were told for decades.
Okay, let's dive into this historical context. For decades, the cultural consensus was that baby talk was frankly patronizing. We were heavily warned by experts of the time to speak to infants like they were just tiny adults in tiny business suits. For decades, we were told that to build a smart, articulate baby, you just needed to bombard them with a massive, constant quantity of adult words. But groundbreaking new research proves that this old belief is fundamentally flawed. The new scientific reality is that it's the specific quality and the unique register of your speech that actually builds their brain architecture. We are currently undergoing a massive shift in developmental psychology, moving away from a sheer obsession with just counting words to a deep biological understanding of something called parentese. Now, it is absolutely critical to realize that parentese is not what we used to call baby talk. It absolutely does not mean using made-up nonsense words like goo goo gaga. Not at all. Parentese means using real, grammatically correct language, but delivering it with significantly stretched out vowels, a highly elevated pitch, a much slower tempo, and highly exaggerated, almost musical melodic tones.
A lot of the deep-seated confusion we see today actually stems from a very famous, widely publicized piece of research from 1995. You might have heard of it. It documented what they called the 30 million word gap between children from different socioeconomic backgrounds. Now, to be fair, this study was important at the time, but it accidentally created a massive problem. It made an entire generation of parents and educators utterly obsess over word quantity. Parents genuinely thought, okay, I just need to keep the radio playing all day, or I need to rapidly narrate my entire day in my normal, flat adult voice, and just hit my daily word count. But here's the critical neurobiological truth. Simply overhearing adult language flying over their heads doesn't do the trick. The sheer quantity of words is only half the story. The delivery system of those words, the acoustic packaging they come in, is what actually unlocks the infant brain.
Section 2. The New Science of Parentese. The landmark 2023 PNAS study.
Let's look at how this builds into the modern scientific landscape, because this is where it gets incredibly exciting. In 2023, a landmark study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences completely changed the game. Researchers at the University of Washington's renowned iLabs tracked 71 infants right from birth up to 18 months. And they didn't just use surveys. They used highly advanced audio recorders called Lena technology. Think of Lena like a tiny, highly sophisticated audio Fitbit for words that the baby wears. These incredible devices could actually distinguish between normal adult speech the baby simply overheard in the background versus high-quality parentese directed specifically face-to-face at the baby. The results? Absolutely staggering. Infants who were exposed to high levels of direct parentese had vocabulary sizes that were 30 to 40% larger by 18 months compared to the low-exposure infants. This is why you must understand this data. The specific quantity of direct, face-to-face parentese was one of the strongest single predictors of language development ever measured in human history. Let that sink in. It actually outperformed socioeconomic status, it outperformed maternal education, and it outperformed the total word count in the home environment. As Dr. Patricia Kuhl, one of the absolute leading world-renowned researchers in this field, perfectly summarizes, parentese is not just cute. It's a teaching language. Babies taught with parentese learn language faster. This quote is a massive paradigm shift. When you use that voice, you are not dumbing language down for your child.
In reality, you are actually giving them significantly more acoustic information than you would in a normal conversation. Your innate parental instinct to raise your pitch and stretch your words is an incredibly precise, biologically driven teaching mechanism.
Section 3, Tuning the Auditory Cortex. How Parentees literally alters the brain. So the truly crucial point here is understanding exactly why this happens on a physical level. We are moving beyond just observing cute baby behavior. We are talking about literally tuning the auditory cortex of the human brain. When your baby is born, their brain is incredibly malleable, but it desperately needs the right acoustic signal from the outside world to organize itself. To really understand why this happens, we have to metaphorically look inside your baby's head. All human language is built from tiny things called phonemes. Phonemes are the minimal, distinct units of sound, like the subtle difference between a but sound and a p sound. Now, imagine your newborn baby's brain is trying to learn how to sort a massive, dumped-out box of colored crayons. To a newborn who is just hearing rapid, blurry, normal adult speech, all of those phonemes look like identical, muddy shades of gray. They blend together. And this brilliantly illustrates what Parentees actually does to solve that problem. Deep acoustic analysis shows that speaking in Parentees systematically expands what scientists call the acoustic vowel space by about 20%. So, going back to our crayon metaphor, if normal speech is a bunch of gray crayons, Parentees is like grabbing the remote control and turning up the brightness and the contrast on a TV screen to maximum. Suddenly, the red crayon is blindingly, vividly red, and the blue crayon is brilliantly, sharply blue. By naturally stretching your vowels and wildly exaggerating your pitch, you are physically pushing the individual sounds further apart from each other. You are literally handing your baby's primary auditory cortex a set of perfectly labeled, high-contrast sounds, which allows their developing brain to sort, categorize, and map them with incredible speed and accuracy. But wait, because the physical changes in the infant brain go even deeper than that. Let's talk about a structure called the arcuate fasciculus. I know, it sounds like a Harry Potter spell. But think of this as the main, heavy-duty telephone line, connecting the part of your baby's brain that hears and comprehends language over to the part of the brain that actually produces language. When you engage your baby with high-quality directed Parentees, you are physically driving a biological process called myelination. Myelination is basically the process of wrapping thick protective insulation around that neural phone line so that the electrical signals can travel exponentially faster and clearer. So the next time someone rolls their eyes at you, just remember, your silly, embarrassing voice is literally acting as the physical construction material for your child's white matter infrastructure. Section 4, the dopamine and oxytocin booster, the chemical formula for learning. But it's not just about cold, hard acoustics and brain wiring. Ignoring this neurological shift is no longer an option. Language acquisition is deeply, inextricably tied to your baby's emotional chemistry. The auditory cortex doesn't just work in a vacuum. It requires a very specific, warm chemical environment to maximize neuroplasticity. When you get down on the floor, look at your baby face to face, and use that warm, delightful Parentees voice, you trigger a powerful dual chemical release in their brain. First, you release oxytocin. This is the calm and connect chemical. A flood of oxytocin literally quiets down the infant's amygdala, which is their primitive inner alarm system. This makes them feel entirely wholly safe. Second, the exaggerated pitch of your voice triggers dopamine, a potent learning booster that activates right in their prefrontal circuitry. So think about this chemical cocktail. When their inner alarm system is completely quiet and their internal reward system is firing on all cylinders, the learning door of the infant brain is thrown wide open, allowing them to record information permanently. Section 5. The power of contingent conversation. Understanding the serve and return loop. Now, this exact chemical cocktail brings us to a massive, incredibly important realization about modern technology. This is why you must understand the concept of contingent conversation. So many exhausted parents wonder, why can't I just play a high-quality educational video of someone using Parentees? Won't that work just as well? The definitive scientific answer is no. It's because the screen is entirely missing the single most important variable in all of early childhood development: contingency. Contingent responsiveness simply means reacting in real time. It's a dance. When your baby babbles and you immediately gasp, widen your eyes and reply, "Oh, really? Tell me more," you are doing something profound. You are giving them a superpower. You are teaching their rapidly growing brain the concept of cause and effect. They realize, wait, my sounds make things happen in the world. A flat screen simply cannot pause, accurately read a baby's babble, and respond with perfect, emotionally attuned timing. Only a human being, only you, can do that.
And I want to give you some deeply actionable empathy right here, because closing this serve and return loop absolutely does not require you to be on and performing 24 hours a day. Nobody can do that, and the science doesn't ask you to. It just requires brief, fully present micro moments. Here is the simple formula. Step 1, just wait for their serve. It could be a coo, a random babble, or just reaching out a hand. Step 2, make warm, genuine eye contact. Step 3, respond immediately using your high-pitched, exaggerated parentese. Oh, you see that toy? That's it. That single, simple, 10-second loop repeated naturally throughout the day when you have the energy provides astronomically more developmental fuel for the infant brain than literally hours of passive background noise or screen time.
Section 6. Your voice is a miracle. Witnessing biology in action.
Let's take a breath and completely reframe how you view yourself as a parent right now. If you have ever felt utterly exhausted trying to do everything perfectly right, or if you've ever felt judged for how you interact with your child in public, it is time to shift from feeling like you're constantly managing a problem to realizing you are witnessing an absolute miracle of biology. The voice you feel most embarrassed to use when others are around is not some weird social accident. You are absolutely not talking down to your baby. Your instinct to speak in that silly, high-pitched, wildly musical voice is an evolutionary masterpiece. It is an instinct perfectly, beautifully calibrated to the exact acoustic and neurochemical needs of a developing mind. Every single time you lean over their crib or look at them in their high chair and use that beautiful melodic tone, you are actively, physically building the very structure of language inside a mind that simply could not build it without you. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to know that you are always doing it exactly right.
So I have a viral question I really want to ask you, and I want to see your answers down below. Who told you to stop using baby talk? Was it a stranger in a grocery store aisle? Was it a well-meaning relative at a family dinner? I want you to share this explainer directly with anyone who ever judged your natural parenting instincts. Or, better yet, drop your specific story down in the comments below so we can all read it. Remember, your voice is a literal miracle of science. Keep using it loudly and proudly. And as always, thank you so much for learning with us.